Hello, everyone, and welcome to a new episode of Constructive Criticism. I'm your host, Spencer, and I am joined by my co-host for the week, Mason Clark.
What's up, Spencer? Glad to fill in while Michael is, busy gallivanting the world being a professional Magic player.
Yeah, those pro Magic players always doing stuff that doesn't involve us.
Yeah, with their great tiebreakers and their elitism. This Michael used to be different.
Yeah, it's a whole new world, man.
Yep.
It's a whole new world we live in. Well, who isn't elitist is our sponsors. You can check them out.
That's a good one.
I was choked on that. I'm so sorry. I'm downstairs, and I shared the basement with former ghost Manny Merez, and his shower is so hot that it's fogging up my glasses. So we are. It is hot in my basement right now. But you know what else is hot is those deals you can get at our sponsors at Oasis Games. You can get 15% off your first order by using the code CCMTG at checkout. You can get 4% off every order by using the code Would That Be Good. No spaces. That's Would That Be Good at checkout. You can also check out our other sponsor at the Mana Base and their sponsor Fusion Gaming. You can get all of your sealed product there over at fusiongaming.com and check out the other awesome content creators over at the Mana Base. We really appreciate them. You can also support the podcast directly by going to patreon.com/ccmtg. Become a patron of this show and all of our other content. Big shout out to our newest patron, Jonathan Barton. We really, really appreciate that when we get that notification letting us know that somebody else is supporting the show, it really does mean the world to us, and it brightens up my day. So I really appreciate it. Let's go on to our first segment, which is our Patreon question. Every week on the show, we invite patrons of the show, if they have a question, to ask it. And this week we have a question that says, "Hi guys, I'm preparing for my first large tournament, and I'm playing lands at SCG Washington, D.C., and would love to hear your thoughts on how you prepare for a large legacy and modern tournaments, in which you can reasonably expect to play against 10 different archetypes."
Man, did I put you on 2 times speed there? You're going so fast.
Was I?
You were going real fast. Like, I was legit like, whoa. It's good. It's good.
What did I do? I was just doing the show, man. I was just doing the show.
You're just in the zone. So focused, I shouldn't have stopped you. Yeah, you're right. Sorry.
So I actually have thought about this question a lot as we got it today, and I think that one thing that people really like about these formats is that you get rewarded for knowing your deck, and I think that happens through just getting reps in. So in preparing for an event, you obviously want to play test against as many different things as you can, but you also can't reasonably expect to play test against everything. So what you can do is just try and learn interactions, right? What are the important turns for my deck, and what can my opponent reasonably have to stop me from executing my game plan, and what can I reasonably do to stop them from executing their game plan while still executing mine? And those are the kind of interactions that you want to look for in playtesting as you learn Modern or Legacy and try and get used to the format. I actually got the chance to play test against this patron. He's one of our patrons of $25 or more a month. So I've actually got to see him play lands, and I thought he did very well in understanding what his deck was trying to do and how it could interact with my deck and interrupt that. So I think that he's already got a good start on that, and he can just continue doing that moving forward.
Yep, that's good. Another thing that I always try to do is, especially for bigger formats like Legacy and Modern, is try and make sure you know what the other decks are trying to do against you and what their game plan is. Because lots of times people will get tripped up when they go to the first big tournament because they'll run into something kind of weird in the early rounds, like maybe Enchantress. And they don't know how that deck wins. They don't know how that deck will sideboard against lands. So I would say just spend some time familiarizing yourself with maybe some of the other decks you don't get to play a lot in your local area or online. Just take a little bit of time and look at those things, and that can pay dividends.
Absolutely. So thank you so much for the question. We really appreciate it. You can ask questions too. Just go to patreon.com/ccmtg. Become a patron of the show. Starting at $1 more per month. Anything that you see fit is really appreciated. It means the world to us. So I don't just say that. It actually really does. So let's move on to our next segment, which is #AlwaysImproving. #AlwaysImproving is the point of this podcast. We believe if you're not getting better, you're getting worse. And we want to be doing what we can all the time to try and get better ourselves. So I do know I'm talking faster. I've already figured it out. It's because I can't see you.
Oh. Does my presence calm you, Spencer? It soothes your soul?
I can't see you because of how we set up this recording.
Yeah.
So I'm just talking.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, maybe pull up YouTube or something. Yeah. So for those of you who don't know, the way it works is when I'm capturing stuff, Spencer can't see my camera just from the way OBS works. If there's a way to fix that, message me. That'd be great. So Spencer's basically just staring at my Skype picture, which
I'm
is.
not. I'm actually looking at the show notes. So
Oh, okay.
like at the camera.
You're just
Anyway,
reading. Yeah.
Yeah. Hashtag always improving.
I can't wait for someone to be listening on the podcast app at like 2 times speed, and it's just like the Alvin and the Chipmunks, just like.
Well, hopefully it doesn't sound like that. So, Mason, what have you done this week to try and improve at Magic the Gathering or life in general?
So the last week, Ixalan dropped on Magic Online, and one of the first things I did was I went out and I bought the cards for Blue White Approach because I wanted to see if that deck was good or not. I felt like it'd be well positioned because I felt like Red and Teamer would be the big decks, and I tried playing that kind of deck and just tried, sticking to what I thought would be good and playing cards that people said wouldn't be good, like Cellar Wreckage and stuff, and just kind of sticking to my guns, even though certain people weren't really big on it. You know what I mean? I got a lot of negativity on a lot of cards, so trying those things and trying to take a little bit more risks when I play.
Dude, Settle the Wreckage blew me out on MTGO before this weekend. It was like one of the biggest blowouts I've ever had happen to me.
Yeah, so I got home from work. I bought one for 75 cents, and I kept trying to buy another one. I couldn't find one. After an hour, I was like, all right, I want to play. So I played Teamer in a league, and I was playing against Blue White. And as I'm like refreshing Cellar Wreckage, I just played straight into Cellar Wreckage, and it was just the biggest tilt moment of my life. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm literally staring at this card, like F6ing it over here, trying to get it, and I played right into it. Yeah, that card's great.
Yeah, I kind of did a similar thing. With the set coming out so early on Magic Online, I wanted to get some sealed and some standard. So I did a little bit of streaming. For those of you who got to watch me play a little bit of Teamer, I got to play against a listener. Shout out to him. That was super fun on stream. So that was cool. But yeah, I just kind of wanted to get a feel for the format. I posted some level 0 decks for our Constructed Critics group. And I also got a lot of crap for saying that I thought that Blue White Approach was actually legit. A lot of people just being like, no, there's no way. It's not going to be good enough. I was like, I don't know, guys. Like, this deck is beating up on some of the better decks, and like its mono red matchup is not nearly as bad as people are saying it is. So I think the deck really got a lot.
Yeah, I think people underestimated Settle like a lot. Like I know we just talked about it, but like that seems to be the biggest thing when they like think about that deck before the weekend.
Yeah. We can kind of get more into the decks and stuff in a later segment, but I do think that just getting reps in early in a format is something that I always try and do. And this time, not having roommates anymore, I'm not doing any Pro Tour testing because they have a pro team now, right? So they have a team that they're going to be working with for the Team Pro Tour series. So I don't have to do any play testing for the first time and who knows how long. So it's just me just playing Magic, and it was kind of fun. I really enjoyed myself.
That's good.
And obviously, for those who are like, Spencer, come on. I also took a break from podcasting and content for a little bit and had a relaxing time. Spent my days taking naps and doing things other than Magic content. But I'm back and ready to attack, and I'm enjoying the show. So
yeah, it's awesome. It's good to take a break. You get to watch great shows like Big Little Lies. You just get to hang out. It's great.
What is Big Little Lies?
It's this great HBO show it's like a murder mystery. It's really good. We can talk about it on hashtag Would That Be Good. It's great. I'm on the last episode. Like after this, I'm gonna go watch it. I'm so excited.
Okay. Well, let's go into our next segment, which is our power rankings. Every week on the show, we talk about a given format and the decks that are doing well in that format. This week, we're talking about standard, and we're going to include the classic results and the open results from the SEG this weekend. So decks get 6 points for first, 5 points for second, 3 for top 4, or 4 for top 4, 3 for top 8, 2 for top 32, or top 32, and 1 for top 64. And we have Esper Gifts coming in 5th place this week. I'm a little surprised, but also not surprised.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like this deck did well because of Hostage Taker, and it's not the best Hostage Taker deck. So I don't know if I feel like this deck's going to stay around. What are your thoughts initially?
So this is a deck that I was interested in going into the format, was a God's Pharaoh's Gift deck, but I don't play this kind of decks a whole lot, so I just kind of left it up in the wind to other people. It is interesting. I don't know the name of that vampire, but it's the black-white one that like taps
Ivana.
Yeah, that seems really weird in the deck. And I don't know, there's just a lot of weird cards. I think Hostage Taker is good in the style of deck. It helps bridge the gap, but I don't know if it's the best Hostage Taker deck, like you said. I think there are better decks down the road that we're going to talk about that are better Hostage Taker decks.
I think this deck is like Chart the Course seems sweet in this deck. So I'm a
Yes.
little surprised to only see 2 of them. I think in the list that we have on the screen. But the
Mhm.
deck is sweet. I think that Gate to the Afterlife into God's Fair Gift, that technology that was discovered at GP Denver or slightly before that, is really good technology. And I think that this deck will continue to stay around. But like it coming in 5th place with 13 points, I just don't expect it to stay at the tippy top.
Mhm. I also wonder how much it was that, like, people forgot about these kind of decks. It wasn't talked a whole bunch, so they didn't have a lot of graveyard hate. Like, people didn't have crooks and the new totem thing. So I wonder if that had any part to play into it. But the deck does have some insane draws sometimes, which is really nice. It's nice to have that kind of power in your deck.
Yeah. All right. Do you have any other thoughts on this one?
No, I'm interested to see if, like, the people are going to stick to the black, I'm sorry, the Esper version, maybe go blue black or something like that to try and make the mana slightly better or something like that. I don't know.
I think that's my other problem is I just don't understand why it's Esper.
So I was actually talking about this to someone in my local area. Angel Invention seems to be the draw to be Esper, but it looks like this guy wasn't sold that Angel Invention was good enough, so he put in that weird vampire. I mean, maybe the vampire is just great, and you just get to like exile all these permanents I can't think of, like gods. But in my mind, I kind of just want to be making sure I get to the Godfair gift as quickly as possible. So I don't know. Personally, I'd want to be playing 4 Chart the Course over this vampire, but maybe it's just insane. It's one of those cards I have to play with to really get a feel for.
Scott in the chat, Scott M says, "Hey guys, I would love to hear y'all's comments on my deck. I placed 10th at the Open. I believe that was a Grixis control deck, if I'm not mistaken.
I believe so as well. I'm gonna pull it
So
up right now.
I actually did see that deck. I thought that the deck looked sweet. You know, getting to play Harness Lightning, Magma Spray, Abrade, some sensors. I think he had like a split between Scarab Gods and Torrential Gearhulk. And then is that the one that had like? I'm gonna just pull it up.
Yeah, I'm pulled it up right now. So I'll just read it out for the chat. It
Yeah,
has 3
it's
Torrential
got
Hulk, 3 Scarab God, an Abrade, 4 Censor, 4 Disallow, 2 Essence Scatter, 4 Glimmer Genius, 4 Harness Lightning, 3 Magma Ray, 4 Op, 2 Sweltering Suns, some mana, and then the sideboard is 4 Will of Virtuoso. I love that. 1 Abrade, 1 Magma Spray, 3 Negate, 2 Battle at the Bridge, 2 Doomfall, and 2 Duress.
Yeah, I think that if you're in a world where people are playing Blue Eyed Approach, playing this style of deck actually makes you much better. I'm interested that there's no what's the 5 mana deal 5?
5. Oh, Hour of
Oh,
Devastation.
yeah, I'm surprised that there's none of that in the board, and I'd be interested to know how Battle of the Bridge did for you. But I think that being a good Scarab God Torrential Gearhulk deck seems really powerful in this format, Scott. So good job on your 10th place finish, and I hope you can turn that a little bit of that cash into some more trips and have some more awesome finishes. So coming up next in the power rankings, we do have Blue Eyed Approach, which is the reason I think that Scott's deck was a good choice. Coming in with 21 points. It comes in with a few very different versions of the deck. I really like the 4th place version played by Davis Thomas, playing 4 Ether Meltdown, 4 Cast Out, 4 Censor, 2 Disallow, 4 Glimmer, 1 Pull from Tomorrow, 3 Settle the Wreckage, 4 Supreme Will, 2 Search for Escanta, 3 Approach to the Second Sons, 2 Fumigate, and 2 Gideon and 25 lands. This deck list is just sweet, man.
Yeah, I really like it. I think it's worth mentioning he also plays 2 of the new Ghost Quarter land, because that's kind of like a spell in this deck. So, yeah, I really like it. I like the Gideon's main deck. I think that was really smart for this weekend, and I would not be surprised if this guy just won so many games. Like the Mirror Game 1, just playing a Gideon, and it's like, all right, I can't beat you. Because a lot of these decks have cut their creatures main deck to blank the opposing deck's removal. So the emblem is a powerful thing in the Mirror. So, yeah, I like this a whole lot.
I think that Gideon in the Mirror is like a great way that maybe if you don't want to go as far as Scott went right with his deck playing counter spells and things like that, like hard counters, this might be a good way to fix that. I also think it's so interesting the number of times that I actually saw Search to Escanta flip and act as a land in the deck was really sweet.
Yeah, I was hesitant to play that card at first because of mono red and stuff like that. I just want to be tapping out, but it seems to have performed really well for everyone, and everyone's singing its praises. I'm curious to know what you think about the 1 Pull from Tomorrow.
I mean, I love it.
Y'all about it?
I'm all about that life.
Oh man,
so
I'm all about it being Hieroglyphic Illumination. I'm curious to know what you think about that.
Sorry, one more time.
Hieroglyphic Illumination, the cycling draw 2.
Is that in this deck?
No, I'm saying like that. So that's what other people are playing over.
It's missing.
Yeah,
I think that for me, like if I play Illumination, I typically want it in a Torrential Gearhulk deck, and
Mhm.
as he only has 2 Gearhulks out of the sideboard, it's not as important here.
Okay, that's fair. That makes sense. So I have another question for you since we're both kind of high on blue-white approach. What do you think about the 4 Regal Caracols versus like the 4 Authority Councils? That seems to be like people's plans for mono red.
And I think I watched Jim Davis die with 3 Authority of the Councils in play against Mono Red.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it just doesn't do enough.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm not sure, but he had both. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, he had a 4 Authority, 2 Regal Caracol.
Yeah.
I was doing 2 Authority, 4 Regal, but
I like Slash of Talons a lot against that deck. I like cheap removal. I also think that David Thomas was playing more more Ether Meltdown, which I think is also very helpful.
yeah, Ether Meltdown's been an all-star in our games.
But settle the wreckage against that deck. Get there.
Settle is so good. Like, and then like game 2 when you settle off a Gear Hulk, you're just like can't lose. Oh man,
Dude, I got settled. So I was playing Teamer, and they cast Settle the Wreckage, and then they cast with 6 mana up, and I was like, I don't even know what I can do. I can't not attack.
yeah,
Right, attack. Yeah.
yeah,
Get wrecked. Get wreckage. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, big game. Coming up next with 22 points, we have the Bug Snake Energy decks. This, if you actually include Black Green, I think this deck actually might have ended up at number 2. It could have jumped that high, maybe not, but
It would have been
tons
close.
and tons and tons of Long Tusk Cub, Walking Ballista, Winding Constrictor decks, and many of them looking very different from each other. I obviously the deck took down the open. Can you hear me, Mason?
I can hear you. You lagged out there for a second, but I think the stream can hear you. Uh-oh. Looks like
Okay.
all right.
Sorry about that, guys.
You're good.
We're good.
Yeah, you're good. I think you might have some slight delay.
Yeah, you sound like a robot to me.
All right, well, how about this? We're going to take a short technical break, and we'll be right back. We're live. All right, we're back.
Sorry about that.
Yeah.
I don't know what's wrong.
Who knows?
I blame Mason.
Michael Hinderacher.
Mason. He's the technical producer. It's his fault. Anyway, no, I think that we were talking about Sultai Energy, and I think that there are a lot of different takes on this deck, but one thing that was very clear from people was the power of Hostage Taker in this format.
Yes, Hostage Taker is a crazy powerful card. The tempo it provides, the ability for answer, just plays that normally you couldn't answer in these kind of decks, like Hazoret, for example. And then the utility that having this at instant speed with Scarab God has is just crazy.
Yeah, and when you get it back with a Scarab God, it's a 4/4, which is really hard to deal with. And you can do it at instant speed and untap and then cast their spell.
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy. Like, you can EOT Hostage Taker, eat their guy, your turn play it. Your opponent can cast a Fumigate, and you want to keep your Scarab God in play, so you can buy your Hostage Taker, eat your own Scarab God, it comes back. It's a crazy card.
It looked very powerful. And the funny thing is that I've been touting Blossoming Defense in green black for a while for those who have been paying attention, and I really like to see the inclusion. So a lot of players playing 2, some of them playing as many as 4, like the winning deck list. I don't know if I'd go as far as playing 4, but I think that the cards are really powerful in this deck, and once you get to Hostage Taker, it might even be worth it to play a little bit more.
Yeah, so I'm curious, what do you think about, so some people have been saying how this deck kind of has issues with approach and stuff like that. Do you think that maybe playing Spell Pierce main deck or a Negate main deck is something that could start happening we might see as an evolution, or do you think that's just a little too aggressive?
I think that if you just max out of things like maybe 3 Negates, 2 Spell Pierce out of the board, you can probably find a way to win. When you win the die roll and play a Long Tusk Cub early, you're probably still going to be fine against the deck a lot of the time.
That's fair. That seems reasonable. Yeah. Just something that I thought was an interesting point of conversation online.
Yeah, and I mean if you look at the Jessup list, it only has 3 counterspells post board and then 4 duress.
Mm-hmm.
Duress is interesting though. That should be really good against that deck.
Yeah, it probably is. It's probably just like you play like a 3 drop and then duress on turn 4 and then win the game. What is this green card in the sideboard that eats graveyards? I'm not familiar with card names yet.
Oh, are we talking about the Scavenger?
Scavenger, yeah, that card's really impressed me from this past weekend.
Yeah, I was watching a couple people stream with just green black this week, and a lot of them had Scavenger even in the main. It looked pretty powerful.
Yeah, I'm very impressed by that card.
I think that it was a little bit underhyped, which is probably why it was impressive to you, because I think that a lot of people didn't think it would be as good as it actually is.
Yeah. Yeah, it seems to have done. I thought it might just be a fine role player, but yeah. I mean, this is a big statement putting 4 in your sideboard, so.
Yep. Yeah. Coming up next, in second place, we have 4-Color Energy coming with 39 points. Yeah, I'm not surprised here. I really like the list that I think it might be on your screen. I'm not sure. Do you have the John Toon list?
Yes, I had the list that you put in the show notes for all of them.
Yeah, this list is sweet. So it's 4 Bristling Hydra, 2 Glorybringer, 4 Long Tusk Cub, 4 Rogue Refiner, 4 Servant, 3 Whirler, 2 Scarab God, 1 Chandra, 2 Abrade, 4 Highness Lightning, 2 Magma Spray, 1 Sky Sonovan Council Flagship, 4 Toolfinger, 1 Confiscation 2, 22 lands. The sideboard is 1 Glorybringer, 2 Cartouche of Ambition out of the sideboard.
The hotness.
1 Abrade, 1 Appetite for the Unnatural, 2 Chandra's Defeat, 1 Hour of Glory. That's an interesting one.
Oh, that's so high. I love it.
4 Negate, 1 Chandra, 1 Confiscation Q, 1 Sweltering Suns. Man, Cartouche of Ambition on my Bristling Hydra. Get got.
Game over. Cartouche
GG.
or Cartouche on your Long Tusk Cub. Just all like a Toon Long Tusk Cub Cartouche. That's also game. It's awesome. And then Hour of Glory, like, oh man. I just want an Hour of Glory or Hazoret. That's all I want to do. Is then tap out for 4 and then like attack me. I'm like, Hour of Glory. You lose all of them. It's great.
Easy BBGG. This list is sweet. I think that it's a little bit pre-boarded for a lot of matchups too, which is good. With the Confiscation from the main, only 3 Whirler Virtuosos. There's a lot going on for this list, and I really like it. And this is probably a 75 that I might actually be willing to just straight up take onto MTGO and try out.
Yeah, I actually have almost this exact deck built on MGO. I'm missing 1 Scarab God, but it was pretty good from what I've played so far. But I've liked it a lot. It feels like he was trying
you have the God Killer in your sideboard?
I do. I bought it from Card Hoarder for like 0.07 ticks. I actually was playtesting with a friend, and he was playing Mono Red, and I was laughing because I brought it in because I wanted to get his Hazarets, but I had to come to the show. But yeah, no, it was. I liked it a lot. I feel like his deck was kind of, like you said, pre-boarded for a lot of decks because it was week 1, and he wasn't exactly sure he was going to play against, but he knew that this deck and strategy was going to be very powerful. Yep.
Coming in first place for the week, we do have Ramanap Red coming with 45 points. Red takes down a week 1 tournament, or well, at least in the rankings. Yeah. Not surprising. I mean, deck's good. Soulscar Mages is as good as I thought it would be. People were like, "Oh, the deck's gonna be bad. Soulscar Mage is so bad." It's like, nope, it's not. Just play some extra spells, and now you have Lightning Strike. So I think you're gonna be okay, guys. And the deck really, really overperformed. For a lot of people's expectation, they just didn't expect Red to be as good because of Soulscar Mage. And honestly, I think that it basically had 0 drop off.
Yeah, I think it is insane. And obviously week 1, when people have like unrefined deck lists, Mono Red's going to do well, but it's just also just a really powerful deck, and it's really appealing to a lot of people to play with all these powerful cards on curve. And the deck's crazy. One of the interesting things of the sideboard I want to talk about was the 1 Harsh Mentor. What do you think about that?
I don't like that.
At all?
No.
It feels like it's only good against Rogue Refiner and the Bristling Hydra.
Yeah, I wouldn't. Rogue Refiner.
Isn't it activated abilities? No, I'm sorry. What's the Whirl of Virtuoso?
Whirl of Virtuoso.
Yeah, my bad.
Sure. Yeah, I'm not a fan. I'm gonna be honest. I'm not a fan. I'm more interested in the Scavenging Grounds in the main. That's 2 of them. It seems like it could disrupt your mana a little bit. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it doesn't matter.
A lot of them were doing that last format, but last format they had a little bit more reasons. So maybe he just kind of like took stock of the mana and he was like, whatever, there might be some God Pharaohs.
Yeah, maybe that's fine. I definitely was playing 1 before, so I can see wanting to play 2, but
I guess if you, I mean, it's pretty obvious that like Teamer and Teamer Black are going to be some of the most popular decks.
That's a good
So,
point.
and they're going to play Scarab God. So, at worst case scenario, you can always just, boop, boop.
Sure, that's a good point. I really like this guy's sideboard as well. 4 Glorybringer, 4 Chandra's Defeat, 2 Pieta Nalar, 3 Chandra, 1 Mountain. I wish that the Harsh Mentor was, and maybe even one of the Glorybringers were some uh, uh, Ether Sphere Harvesters. But other than that, I really like this deck list.
Yeah, Aether Harvester is a great card. Yeah, especially for the mirror match. Although he does
Yep.
have a lot for the mirror. I mean, 3 Chandras and 4 Chandras Defeat is plenty.
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to take a really quick break, and we will be right back.
All right, sorry about that. We had to take a short break there.
We are back though, and yeah, so that's kind of it for the power rankings. We're actually going to get into the week one reactions right now. So our training rounds this week is Mason and I are just going to talk about the format, and that's kind of why we went quickly over the decks because we're going to talk about the format overall. So let's start from just Mason. What were you looking for from deck lists when you were looking at deck lists after this event?
Yeah, so it was pretty obvious to me that like Mono Red and Teamer Black were gonna be the best decks. So I wanted to see how people were going to attack those, and then the side note was also I wanted to see how those decks were going to approach the format, knowing they were the deck to beat. So I wanted to see stuff kind of like the Teamer Black list we had on screen, where it was pre-boarded stuff with Confiscation Coup, having a Chandra main deck, stuff like that. Just I was interested to see how they were planning to attack, with the metagame seeming pretty. So week one, it seemed like we kind of knew what we were going to get, and then it seems like maybe we might get some more stuff, but we're getting to more of that later. What were you looking for, Spencer?
You know, um, I mean, I wanted to see what was different than MTGO, right? So if you looked at MTGO Friday night, it was Teamer at 1, Red at 2, Blue White Approach at 3, and then nothing else on the screen. And I haven't looked today, so if I went to MTGO-stats, it is now the same thing. So
Oh,
it still hasn't actually changed. However, there have been bug decks that have looks like Bug and Esper both oh, interesting. This only has tournaments from the 30th.
yeah, it might not have updated yet. That's what I was thinking. I was like, there's got to be Sultai decks.
I wonder if MTG Goldfish is updated. Please hold. Please hold. What I'm saying is that I wanted to see if that was representative of how people might approach the metagame, at here. And I think that a lot of it did happen. Um, I haven't heard anything about gift stacks going into the week. I obviously had heard about Green Black Snake. Everybody's been talking about energy. Tons of people have been streaming with Green Black. It's one of the most popular decks that people were streaming with. The other deck that was really popular that people were streaming with was actually Dinosaurs. I think there was only one Dinosaurs deck.
Yeah, there wasn't. There was just one in the Open and the Classic combined.
Yeah,
There's one Green White Lats deck, but no.
Yeah, I wanted to see like what other type of decks that are doing well, right?
Mhm.
And there were some interesting stuff, but I don't think that it was too far out. And here's the thing: I want to know what the reaction is like, because with the last standard format, people were saying this is one of the best standard formats of all time, right?
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, not a lot has changed, right? We still have Verminep Red, we still have Temur Energy, we still have Blue-White Approach, we still have Snake decks. So like the 4 decks that were good are still all, and then gifts, right? So the 5 decks that were good are the 5 decks that are good now.
Yeah, the biggest thing that's missing is zombies.
Right, which who cares?
Well, I mean, some people love zombies. I'm sure for a lot of people that was the reason why it was one of the best.
Yeah, people who like to eat brains like zombies. That's fine.
Yeah, and that's fine if you want to do that. Like, whatever.
I mean, personal choice.
Yeah, 2017.
But what I'm saying is, like, Magic players have a habit of hating everything.
What? Magic player? I know. I hate that you said that, Spencer. And really, I'm not a person that uses hyperbole at all. Like, I don't think I've ever used it before.
You've done this on the show.
I know, but it's one of my go-tos. Like, I agree. I hate when people get negative about stuff.
And so I wanted to see, like, what is the reaction like? And then here's the thing: is that this format looked fun. It looked, when I'm looking at the deck list, I'm looking for things that make games interactive. Hardest Lightning is a great removal spell that makes games interactive. Blossoming Defense is one that does that. Having a new thing like Hostage Taker come into the format and really dominate the event leads to more interactive games, right? Similar to Spellcaller and how Spellcaller did that. I'm very interested in like what we saw from the deck lists. So the next question is, what color would you want to play next weekend if you were going to play an aggro deck? We saw some very interesting aggro decks. We saw green-white cats.
It's pronounced lats.
Is that?
Can we go? Can we get a deep dive in green-white lats real quick?
I mean, sure. Go ahead.
I just wanted to say it's awesome. Like, I think it's great that someone brought their cat deck and they just like got top 32 at the Classic. That's great. That's awesome. I mean, like, to be fair, I bet it has a great mono red matchup.
Yeah. So the 27th place, Jamie Gary, had a. Here's the problem: is I can't get behind a Sacred Cat deck. Like, that's not a thing that I can reasonably.
It always comes back to Sacred Cat with me.
With you, it does.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
Awesome. But Vanquisher's Banner is sweet. I mean, it's just an annoying procession deck. That's why you like it.
I don't know. That was for the spike feed. Shout out to you. But this deck, I don't know. I think the deck is pretty fun. Like, I imagine I'll see this a lot of FNMs and game days and stuff like that.
Oh my gosh! I just noticed the Watchers of the Dead in this sideboard.
Yeah,
that's another such a sweet deck.
So if you want this deck, I mean, like, they are really committed to the cats.
That's so great. Jamie Gary is my new hero. Wow. Watchers of the Dead, the sweetness.
Yeah.
The sweetness. So, but there were other decks. We saw 2 different versions of black aggro decks playing Vanquisher, Inquisitor, or whatever it's called. We saw lots of mono red, different
green-white vampires.
Green-white vampires. That's true.
Yep.
What are your thoughts on aggro, and where would you be if you were playing aggro next week?
I think I'd be on mono red just because of how proven and consistent it was. But if I had to pick something that was a little bit more spicy and not just so generic, I'd probably be interested in playing mono red with the new Raid Bob and stuff like that, and Scrap Heap Scrounger. I think that'd be an interesting place to go. But
I really like the idea of playing red black personally. I think that your mana is probably just fine, and you can do a lot of the same things with just better creatures.
Yeah, better creatures and unlicensed. So those are all things that I'm down to play. I'm curious to see if that deck pops up. I've played it a few times on Magic Online, just like running it into people playing it on leagues. Excuse me, and it seemed pretty consistent so far. Although I've been playing Approach the whole time. So,
what deck surprised you most from this weekend?
Besides Green-White Cats?
Deck that surprised you the most?
I was pretty.
I'm not gonna lie. If you would have asked me if a cat tribal deck ever cashed an SEG, I would tell you no.
You'd be wrong.
I would say nah, probably not. It probably didn't happen.
What if they added to that and the sideboard tech they play is also cats to commit to the cat tribal theme?
It's great.
Yeah.
I wonder if it was a bet.
Yeah, I wonder if someone was like, hey, do this and I'll pay for you or whatever. I don't know. But no, another deck that the Green-White Vampire deck was very interesting. You saw that in the last round of the Open on day 1. It seemed like there was kind of some stuff going on there, but it was more like the Legion's Landing that impressed me and how it's becoming like a 1-drop creature token and how powerful that is at times. But the other thing that really stood out to me was the Grixis control deck, which I found out is Scott, and then the Teamer deck that got 61st, I believe. Those were interesting to me.
Is that Arian Birch's deck?
I believe so. I'm terrible with names. I think that's the guy I play at my RPTQ. Yeah, it's him. Yeah.
Yeah, Aaron actually used to host a podcast on constructorcriticism.com.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I think he was the co-host of yeah. So
there you go.
Anyway,
small world.
I think that the thing that surprised me the most was Grixis Improvise.
Mm-hmm.
This is something that I know that Channel Fireball had their testing back at Pro Tour Aether Revolt, was Maverick Thopterus decks, and apparently Zach Elsick actually was just tearing it up in the Classic with this deck. So I would be interested to see if that is something that can transfer over into a higher level event like an Open or a GP. But I mean, we already know that people have tried Maverick Thopterus and thought it was really powerful in the past. So I'd be curious to see what this deck can really do.
Yeah, Tezzeret seems like a card that could move if found the right shell, and it seems like this is the closest thing we've found to a good shell for Tezzeret. So I'm curious to see.
Metallic Rebuke is broken, so
yeah, when you get someone with Metallic Rebuke, every time it's great.
Yeah. It's pretty powerful. So that's kind of my biggest surprise from this weekend. Where do you think the format can head, and what do you think the decks, like with the format being pretty defined already, with decks that we already expected, like where do you think the format can move from here? Where do you think things shake up?
So I think one of the good things about getting a format defined like this is it's easier to attack it. When there are lots of decks, it's really hard to like plan, like to build a deck to beat certain decks and kind of metagame in that sense. So I'm curious to see if people can build like blue-black tempo decks and see if it's like blue tempo decks in general with Charter Course, Metallic Rebuke, and then the Pirate Leak. It's like pay 4. If you have a pirate, they have to pay 1 less, something like that. I don't know, whatever. But those kind of decks, I'm curious to see if that's going to happen. And I'm curious to see if like hard control decks will rise to answer approach, and then because of that, other style of decks will rise to beat that, and we have a little cycle going.
I would not be surprised. I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm saying I wouldn't be surprised if blue-green Miracle Grow Merfolk found its way into the top tables of the Pro Tour.
Okay, yeah, so this is something I want to talk to you about, because you were telling me about this deck, but I didn't know it was one of those things, so I'm not allowed to talk about it. So talk about this Miracle Grow, because that strategy seemed really appealing to me, and that's why I brought up the Negates and Sultai Energy.
I'm not on the Pro Tour testing team, so
okay, well, I know that now.
I can talk about anything I want.
Yeah, totally. It's 2017, you could do it anyways, bud. Just for those that don't know what Miracle Grow, like I did on Sunday, what is Miracle Grow?
So after the podcast, after Limited Time Only, Danny and I were talking, and Mason often gets to hear our wonderful conversations because he's on the line with us. And we were just talking. So Miracle Grow is a deck from the past that played Quarian Dryad, which is a green and a 1 for a 1/1 that whenever you played a non-green spell, it got a 1/1 counter. And then there's a new one called Deep Water
Scout, I believe.
No, that's the Explore one, I'm pretty sure.
I'll look it up right now on my phone. Keep talking.
Anyway, so there's a new one that whenever you cast a non-creature spell, it gets a 1/1 counter. So this means that you can actually play green spells to protect it. So Blossoming Defense actually puts a counter on it. And then there's the 1-man Deep Root Champion?
Deep Root Champion.
Deep Root Champion.
Yep.
And then there's the Explorer Merfolk that gets a 1/1 counter, or you get the land. And then there's the 1/1 Merfolk that becomes a 2/2 if you have another Merfolk or an island. Then there's the other Merfolk that does Kiora impressions. And then you can play a bigger small number of creatures because your creatures are also efficient, and then protect them with things like Spell Pierce and Blossoming Defense, similar to a Delver strategy, maybe playing some Ops and things like that, and get yourself a real tempo deck going. And then even as we've seen the power of, things like Ether Meltdown and things like that, it's not like you can't play things to interact with your opponents still.
Yeah, so that does seem interesting. Is that something you've tried at all, or is that just something that you've been brain brewing?
I have played about 6 matches on Cockatrice with it.
Okay. Did it seem... So I imagine its matchup against like Approach and stuff like that was pretty good. How was its teamer? Have you got to play against that any?
Yeah, so I think that your worst matchup is actually Mono Red.
Okay.
Because they have like tons and tons of removal. And also can like interact with you. I think that against Teamer, I didn't feel like... I only played against it once, and I just went like 1-drop, 2-drop, like kill you.
Love it.
And it feels very Delver-ish. One problem that you do have against Teamer is I would assume if they and probably against the energy deck is your deck probably has a really hard time with Long Tusk Cub. One thing that you can do for that is like play more unsummons to really get them once they've executed on their energy plan.
Yeah, just unsummon Perilous Voyage. You got a couple different ones to choose from. Another thing that's interesting that we're seeing online. Oh, sorry. What did you say?
Perilous Voyage, is that a disperse or is that an unsummon?
It's I think it's a disperse.
Okay, keep going.
Sorry, I'm not 100% sure. The other thing I was going to say is something that's popped online that I'm actually not super high on, but a lot of people are the black, white, and Esper token builds. You've seen like Conley Woods talk about token. Yeah.
I got to I misclicked, and I would have won had I not misclicked.
Mm-hmm.
But my opponent had an infinite combo in black white tokens against me.
Was it like Ruthless Knave with sacking to make more treasures to sack and sack and sack?
Yeah, so he had infinite mana that way with 2
annoying processions. Yeah, so if you don't, sorry, keep going.
And then he had the 1/3 that whenever an artifact dies,
Marionette Master,
you lose life equal to its power.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I got in game 3 after misclicking in game 2 when I had the win.
So for those,
it was sweet.
Yeah, for those that don't know, Ruthless Knave is 2 and a black for a 3/2 that says 2 and a black, sacrifice a creature, get 2 treasures, and you can sack 3 treasures to draw a card. So with Annoying Procession, if you have 1 out, you get 4, and if you have 2 out, you get 8 treasures. So with that, you can just really churn through your deck. One of my friends has been playing that deck a lot, and I've seen it win from some really weird positions, but I'm not super high on it. Not like last season.
It was really funny because I was downstairs and I was just finishing the league that I was streaming from, and he has infinite mana, and I'm like, okay, you have infinite mana, but you only have 1 card in hand, so like either you can kill me or you can't. And then so he's got 5,000 treasure out, and I'm like, hey, I'm just gonna F6. And I walked upstairs, and I walked downstairs, and he had 13 cards in hand, and I'm like, how did he get I'm reading. Oh, okay. I see what's happening here.
Yeah, that card has a lot of text. It feels like a rare at times. That's the crazy part to me. It's just an uncommon.
I did not know that. That's interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So I'm curious what you think about Legion's Landing. It's a card I talked about a little bit ago and we kind of skipped over. Is that a card that you've looked at all? It seems to be replacing Thraben Inspector in some decks. Obviously not a straight 1-for-1 comparison there, but the 1-drop that they would play in that spot.
I've played against quite a few Legion Landing decks already,
mm-hmm.
and I don't know how I feel about it. So my problem is, what does it flip into?
So it flips into a land something outpost, where for 2 and a white you tap to make a 1/1 vampire lifelink token. So it makes more of itself, kind of.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that it's probably fine.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't know where it fits, and I certainly don't like it. I think that it doesn't give you the same synergies. Thraben Inspector was never a good Magic card. It just gave you synergies in the decks that were really important. It's actually one of the reasons that I really hate when people play a ton of it in Modern. I'm like, this doesn't even fit in your deck. You're just playing on a 1/2. You don't have any time to do what you're trying to do. But I think with this, what is the card it reminds me of? I don't know. Token makers always find a way to be better than they look.
Yeah, I was gonna say the interesting thing to me is that it's like a 1-mana 1/1 lifelink vampire, but it's a token, not a creature. So in decks that really want tokens, it has a much higher ceiling than normally that card would. And the fact that it does flip pretty easily. I mean, attacking with 3 creatures isn't the hardest thing in the world, especially in Standard.
That's super easy.
Yeah, and then suddenly you have a mana sink in your aggro deck, or maybe your mid-rangey deck. So I don't know. It's a card that I'm very interested in. And I thought it was pretty good, and then I've been really high and then really low, and I'm just kind of still trying to figure out where I am on the card.
So personally, I think that the format is probably in a position where Torrential Gearhulk decks can finally find their way. There were a lot of different Torrential Gearhulk decks, which was true week 1, last Standard 2, but I think that we're getting close.
Now that Gideon's gone?
First of all, Gideon's gone, and how many unlicensed disintegrations did you see?
It's 0. I don't think I saw a single Mardu in all the results.
So because of that, I actually think that's not true. I think there was 1 Mardu deck and 1 black red that were both playing unlicensed.
Oh, I
Um,
might have missed it. Sorry.
no, you're okay.
Hmm.
I think that's true. But my point is that the two cards that were the biggest problem for that could bring these type of decks to the top, especially Blue-Eyed Approach is good because you're very good against Blue-Eyed Approach.
Makes sense. All checks out.
So the next question is, what is the sweetest thing that you saw in play, in your opinion, this week?
Oh man, in play. So does that mean the SCG were just like me playing standard?
Nope, the SCG specific.
The SCG specifically. I don't know. What do you think, Spencer? I have a couple in my head. I'm just trying to figure out which one's the actual sweetest.
Uh, it was definitely the list from Aaron. Like, it's so funny. Like, people have asked me, like, one of the questions I've gotten from listeners is like, what's the biggest mistake you've ever made in Magic? And it's like playing green red at the Pro Tour.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not because like my deck was bad. I mean, other people actually top eighted the tournament with my deck. It's because I didn't play a deck that I thought was better. And my Teamer deck, that eventually would turn into Teamer Black next season, that would have success in the hands of people like Brian Kibler and other people like that.
Oh, Hearthstone
ended up,
player.
Yeah, yeah, that's what he is.
Yeah.
But anyway, like my biggest regret is not playing the deck that like I knew was good. It qualified for me for that Pro Tour. I had an updated list that I was doing well with on the PPTQ scene. Like I knew that that deck was good, and I decided not to play it. And I really respect Aaron for taking this deck that he enjoyed. He included some new cards, right? He got some Spell Pierce in there, just to update his list. I can respect that a lot. And also, I mean, come on, Teamer Aggro, like that's all me. That's all me. Dude's playing like Teamer Spell Pierce. Like, what more could you want? You're telling like there's nothing sweeter than a deck that plays Blossoming Defense, Spell Pierce, Harness Lightning, Long Tusk Cub, Rogue Refiner, Bronus. Man, this deck is just hot.
Where is this deck again on the website? What place was it so I can look real quick?
44th.
44th? Okay.
Yeah. Also, there was a Marty Vehicles at 38th.
Ah, I missed it.
And it looks exactly what you would think it would look like.
Yeah.
It's like a Cultivator's Caravan, Chandar, Gideon of the Trials, Veteran Motorist, Fullcraft Exemplar.
So this looks like the exact deck Aaron beat me at, because I played Aaron at the RPTQ and he top forward, and this is like the exact deck he was playing. I think literally the only thing that's different, because we had a long game, is he literally had just added Spell Pierce.
Yeah.
Yeah, he loves these kind of decks. It's really good. I was really surprised when playing against it. It comes at you really fast.
So, what is the sweetest thing that you saw on coverage, though?
All right, so I think it has to be round one, Zach Elsick playing the artifact that when you flips, you can fork spells. Just playing that kind of control deck and just like truly trying to grind your opponent out and then just like ribbons them for like 8 or whatever and just kill them immediately by copying it. That's so sweet.
So, wait a second. So, what is this card?
I don't know what exactly its name, but it's 4 mana for an artifact.
Is it the? Is it?
I know everything about it except its name. Who needs names? They're so overrated. That's what I always say.
The thing is, I'm looking at his deck list that he won the thing with, and he's not playing it.
Oh, so he played a completely different deck. So clearly he didn't think it was good. He changed decks. So so if you watch this round one, it's like a traditional control deck, Spencer. So it plays the artifact that makes instant and sorceries cost 1 less, and when you get 4 counters on it, it flips to a non-legendary land that forks spells. So he played a couple of those, a couple searches, and then he played like a Grixis, just like kill all your stuff, have a few counterspell deck. And then the way he won was he had like 2 Gearhulks main deck, but really what he did is he cast ribbons, copied, and like
I saw this round. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, so that was super sweet. That kind of deck is something I'm very interested in. I'm curious if it might be better if more people are playing Approach. If you play a more like counterspell heavy version, obviously less kill spell heavy. Yep.
Sure. So let's just wrap this up. What would you play and why next week?
I think I'm gonna play Teamer Black. It seems really powerful. I've played a good amount of Teamer, and this has a lot of good answers. It seems like it's a lot of good matchups and a lot of play to the deck, and also just plays a lot of really powerful cards. I was at Danny played a PTQ at the GP that I was at with him, and he just came up to me after the round playing Teamer. He was just like, man, this deck just plays like so many great cards. And it displays a lot of powerful cards, and you can curve your opponents out. And I think when the week are still early and people are experimenting, that's something I want to do, especially with a deck that has a well-refined mana-based sideboard, all that good stuff. I think there's a lot of edge that can be gained from that. So
Yeah, I'm just gonna be jamming Teamer. It's a deck that I enjoy. Teamer Black. Like, what? This is literally the no white cards deck. Like, what more could I want in the world?
Yeah, you can call it Sith Teamer.
Uh,
Star Wars. You love Star Wars.
I know. You should Google Jedi Jund Spencer Howland.
Yeah, I have. I know.
Oh, you've seen it.
I'm playing into it. Yeah. Jedi Jund.
Yeah, okay.
Sith Teamer Sith.
Sure.
That's a Star Wars.
Yeah. All right.
All right, keep going. This wasn't awkward. We just rolling on through.
But yeah, I think the deck is great. I think that it doesn't have any glaringly bad matchups. While you can be bad against approach, I think that if you play correctly and have the right sideboard, it's still a very winnable matchup for you. So, all right. Don't forget that you can support this podcast by going to patreon.com/ccmtg. You can find me at Spencer13H on Twitter. You can find me in the Constructive Critics Facebook group if you are a patron of $5 or more, or the Constructive Criticism family group on Facebook if you are just a listener of the show and you want to get better at Magic and talk to people who also want to get better. You can find the podcast every week on mtgcast.com, constructivecriticism.com, and here on YouTube, actually, where you could be listening to it right now. Where can people find you, Mason?
You can find me at SOVMason on Twitter. You can find me, Mason Clark, in the Constructed Criticism family and Constructed Critics Facebook group. I'm normally in there voting on polls, telling Spencer to let people not add options and things like that.
That's not true. You're adding options.
So sometimes I add options, but I keep thinking if I add options, he'll make it so I can't add options.
Yeah, that's what you're doing.
Teach a fisherman to fish. You know what I mean? You can also find me each and every day just lamping at my house.
What does that mean?
It just means chilling. It was from a Curb Your Enthusiasm, so I just had to.
Okay.
It's one of my favorite shows, so just throw it out there.
You can join the conversation in that Constructive Criticism Facebook group, in the Constructive Criticism family. You can also tweet at us with the hashtag #WhatThatBeGood. Hashtag #WhatThatBeGood is our Twitter outreach program. If you tweet it, we'll read it. You can join the Discord group. Just go to the bios page on Constructive Criticism. You can find a link to everything there. You can join the clan by messaging me at Spencer13Dev, and let's read our hashtag #WhatThatBeGood.
So I think I found it. I think 919 is the last one. And it says, better than pineapple pizza, let Mason be the judge. Hashtag would that be good? And then it's a picture of literally probably the most disgusting thing I've seen in my entire life, which is a candy corn pizza.
Yeah, I think that's probably better than pineapple pizza. To be fair, does anybody actually like candy corn?
No one likes candy corn.
Why does it, is it just used to decorate stuff? Like, what is the point of it now?
I don't get it. It's like literally sugar and then colored sugar and then sugar. Like that's all it is. I don't know. I since I was a kid, every time I've had one, I just wanted to throw up. It is the
Do you know why candy corn is called candy corn? Have you ever figured it out?
No, because I don't waste my time thinking about dumb stuff. Because candy corn is the worst. I don't waste.
So if you stack candy corn up, it looks like a corn on the cob.
Oh, I thought it was just supposed to look like a little piece of corn, like from the corn on the cob. That's what I always thought.
No. So if you stack it into a circle, right, it turns into a cob.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
If you Google it, you can find images of it.
It
looks cool.
Literally the best thing you could do with candy corn. Do that and fertilize your yard. That's it. Anything else you do with candy corn except maybe throw at people who are mean, nothing else is good.
I hashtag would that be good way too much at Spencer13H. LOL. No, you don't. No, you don't, Andrew. You just happen to be the only one that did that week. There's plenty of people that use it.
Yeah. Don't feel bad.
Mac and cheese cooked in chicken broth topped with black pepper, thick cut bacon. Hashtag would be good. Wow, that sounds delicious.
That sounds great.
That's at least 2 billion times better than pineapple on pizza.
I agree. Listen, it's not that I love pineapple on pizza. I'll just eat pineapple on my pizza. There's a difference. At
CCMTG, I listen to the cast in my car so much, my kids sing along to the intro. Hashtag would be good. I want to see a video of this. I think that's so cool. People love our intro. It's so funny. A lot of people don't realize it's a song by I wrote a parody to B.O.B. Magic, and then I had Spruik from The Gathering record the parody. So shout out to Spruik, and I would love to see a video of your kids singing the theme song. That would make my day, because I'm weird like that. Hashtag Let It Be Good. Seriously, teams are so much better in bringing the same important people to the screen. Fun for all, too.
And then this is a response to Ben Stark saying, team is so much more fun than individual. Let's make all GPs team GPs.
I don't want all teams to be team GPs. Because I think that creates too much of a barrier to entry. But I do wish there was a lot more team GPs near me.
Yeah. Don't you just wish there were more GPs near you?
Yeah, that's true. Let me tell you a story.
All right.
Yeah, I would love to do some team GPs with Danny and Nigel. That would be super fun for me.
Mm-hmm. That would be awesome. Yeah, I've enjoyed team events.
Or Quentin and Matt. That would be great too. Oh man, I would love that.
Or you, Manny, and Casey.
Hashtag would that be good?
And so it was a response to someone tweeting, apparently M2GO has a max token limit. So someone went infinite with 4 anointing processions and all the treasures with Ruthless Knave, and apparently you can hit a limit with tokens. And he did this in the online PTQ for this past weekend.
All right. And how many is it?
I don't know. There's just literally tens and tens of them. And then he flashed back his the Angel, the 3/4, and then he just couldn't make it anymore.
How would we not already know that?
I mean, you might have known that, but he might not have known that.
40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, 110.
And then all those tap tokens.
Wait, where are the tapped ones?
They're attacking.
Oh. All right. And now you know. And knowing is half the battle. Thank you, everybody, for listening. We really appreciate it. Check out patreon.com/ccmtg to become a patron of this content. It means the world to us. Don't forget to check out both of our sponsors at oh my gosh, I just forgot the name of Oasis Games. Of Oasis Games. You can get 15% off your first order by using the code CCMTG at checkout. Don't forget to check out our other sponsor at the Metabase. We really appreciate both of our sponsors, and we'll see you guys all next week.
Later.